Well, hey there, American Farmsteaders. This is Jenny with the Grimstead Family Farm.
And Donna with Hazel Bell Farm.
And we are coming to y'all from Northeast Florida as two American farmsteaders doing our best to grow our own food and share our homesteading experiences with you in hopes that you'll grow a little food of your own.
Yep, this week we are talking with our friend David the Good, who everybody should know unless you live under a rock. How are you, David?
I'm well. Thank you all for having me. It's nice to be on your brand new podcast.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. It's funny. I was thinking about it this morning, actually. And the first time we met you, we had followed you already for a few years, and you were David the Good, David the Good. And then we met you, and I'm sure you don't remember, but I got like starstruck, like you're this famous person. And now it's just David. Like I feel like we have a friendship. So it's good.
Yeah, no, it's good to have kids too, because your kids will never they just keep you down to earth all the time.
Yes.
Like you realize you have just no idea what you're actually doing once you have kids. And
They're humbling, aren't they?
Yeah. That's helped me.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well,
yeah. So for a little icebreaker, like how did you become David the Good? Like, did you give yourself that name or did like one of your kids do that?
Oh, I used to come up with different mixed up versions of my name. I would do this. I liked the idea of writing a little paper, and so I used to have this little paper. My grandma had a copy machine, and I would write out these different pages. It started as a youth group paper in our little church youth group, and then I started just writing most of it myself because most of the other kids didn't really feel like doing it, and I think I was really obnoxious to work with. So I would draw cartoons and I would write different articles and editorials and things, and it was all nonsense. It was terrible. But I would write it under different names like Vidad Magooden and things like that. And then it was like David the Good sounds like a medieval knight or something. So
it's like Andre the Great. I mean, it's
right. And I just yeah, exactly. So I just threw that name out there because I thought it was pretty funny, and it's easier to remember than my actual name, which is as boring as like John Smith. So
right.
If you just look up David Goodman, you will find doctors and lawyers and TV producers and all kinds of people that are way more like successful than me. And then you would just go through pages. I realized when I searched pages of Google, like it's like I would just never show up. So if I was the name David the Good, there were no David the Goods. And so it was just kind of fun. But my more Presbyterian and Calvinist friends have always told me, like, that's completely theologically inaccurate because no man's good. No, not one. Yeah, I was told if like you should call yourself David the Depraved. I'm like, well, I wouldn't sell any books if that was my name.
Yeah, that's a little too humbling. The pendulum swung way too far.
Right. Hopefully progressive sanctification is taking place to the point where you could actually call me good at some point, but it's just a name. It's not important.
Right.
I mean, you kind of treat it like David good enough, so
it's good enough, right? I mean, if your last name was Little, it was not like people are gonna be like, you're lying. Like Stuart Little. It's like, well, you are little, I guess. That works. But if your name is like Paul Little and you're not this tall, you're like, your name is a lie, man. You're lying. It's like, lying is God says not to bear false witness, Paul. You're Paul Little. You realize that your entire life is a lie? I mean, it's just
my goodness.
Things, so.
The big guy.
I know multiple sisters in this one family, and their last name is Manley.
Oh gosh.
So they're the Manley girls.
The Manley girls.
Yeah.
The Manley sisters.
They're all very sweet, feminine girls, but their name is a lie. It's awful.
I feel like that might catch on to something like a record group or something, Manley sisters. It's funny. Traveling quartet.
So yeah, that's how it ended up with. It was just a joke at one point, and then I thought that sounds pretty good. I could go with that.
Stuck. Yeah. I like it. It's a great pen name. for sure. And everybody knows who that is.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Easy to remember.
All right, let's get on to some gardening talk. So, a lot of our listeners are into gardening. Most of our listeners are into gardening. And so, this question is kind of broad, so you can take it however you want. But what is your take on modern gardening advice versus what actually works?
Yeah,
See there?
this is one of those. I think it was about 10 years ago or so that I said that aquaponics was high IQ, stupid gardening.
Okay.
Because you look at it and you go, okay, it makes a lot of sense. Like there's pumps and there's tanks, and you're going to circulate water through here, and the waste is going to be feeding your
Right.
lettuce, and some of your overgrowth you're going to feed to the fish and whatever. And so there were multiple people that were very intelligent that were trying to build these backyard aquaponic systems to replace this whole grubbing in the dirt stuff.
Right.
So they had, all this PVC, and then they had the pH test, the ammonia tests, the tilapia, and what type of tilapia is important because some of them are cold hardy and some of them aren't. And you have to have a bubbler to get the certain amount of oxygen into the system. And everybody's like, I love this. This is going to be the future of gardening. But it really, functionally speaking, you end up often with a lot of dead fish. You end up with valves that get clogged. You don't end up harvesting the fish to use them, or you get an oxygen problem, or you get anemic vegetables because you haven't balanced something exactly properly, etc. It's not actually a real workaround, but it looks sciencey and it looks like it's fantastic. And so you get the same thing. There's a lot, like right now, if you till, you're considered like in apostate.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
You till the
You
ground,
ruined the earth.
you've destroyed entire colonies. And it's one of those things. It's kind of, I know everybody's going to get mad at me, but
No, it's okay.
if you leave a tuna fish sandwich in the back of your car and you decide the next day, you know what, I don't really want to drive home, I'll just eat this tuna fish sandwich. You could get food poisoning, because if you go and you look, the bacteria population is doubling every 20 minutes. And through that, there's this curve where you get this massive amount, like the whole thing is solid bacteria. It just looks like tuna. It's like it's being digested. So you get violently ill. But then there's this idea. It's like if you till the soil, then you've pretty much just destroyed all the bacteria. They're gone. They're just like you've killed them all. There's got to be a balance. I don't think that tilling, and there's a lot of really good studies that show if you pulverize the ground and destroy it, the idea that you're going to aerate the ground, like running a train over it, you're just going to compact it and then you've got to go and you've got to smash it all up and get air pockets into it, and then it rains and it all becomes really hard again. There's a lot of really good research that's been done on leaving layers of organic material on top of the ground, or using crops that break into the soil, crops like rye or daikon radishes or other things that are going to make root mass, or they're going to puncture and they're going to loosen. And so people will run with that data and say, okay, we should never till. But there are times like 2020 where it's like, do you really have time to build a beautiful regenerative farm? Are you going to try and mob graze your quarter-acre lawn with something? Where are you going to get enough wood chips? Where are you going to get all of these layers of things that you need to build? How long are you actually going to be investing into it? Or do you want to just till that ground up right now and put in some row crops like your grandparents did, and then be canning green beans in 70 days?
There's something to be
there's
said for it.
Right. So a lot of this stuff we think we discriminate against the past because we think we're so special. People have no idea what was done 100 years ago anymore, because they've grown up in this little bubble of modernism. They don't know. You go to your local church, you have no idea what the history of Christianity ever believed in previous generations. So what you've always heard just seems like, oh, this is just the way you do it. So everybody goes, since they were kids, they've seen that a raised bed, maybe a 4-foot by 8-foot raised bed, is the way to garden. You're going to go buy some soil and you're going to dump it into some 2x6s that you bought from Home Depot and you screwed together with some deck screws at the corners. And that's the way you grow food, because that's the way we grew up seeing food grown. But that was a big change that really only happened in 60s, 70s, particularly
Right.
with John Jeavons and Mel Bartholomew's square foot gardening and a lot of other things. They're like more efficient ways to pack a lot of food into a tiny space, but that comes with its own issues. You have to water
Right.
more. You have to have more fertile
Need it
soil.
more. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's uh we shouldn't necessarily discount a lot of these things from the past, because we have this very myopic view that everybody in the past didn't know what they were doing.
Mm.
Right.
And you have to actually, I think, sometimes look back to when food growing was important,
Mm-hmm.
and you actually had to grow your own food or you would be hungry.
Right.
Right.
We don't. We've lived in this post World War II boom era where everything is so easy to buy and
And
it's so
plentiful.
cheap.
Yeah.
And if your garden fails, it really doesn't matter at all.
Right.
And you're not farming realistically based on real world conditions
Right. It's a
of
hobby.
simplicity. It's a hobby, and you've got city water running through a hose. What if you couldn't irrigate? What if you needed to actually have enough potatoes to last you until through the fall and through the winter? How do you do that? Well, you've got to look back to the past, back in those bad old days when people were just running a plow through the ground with a mule or something along those lines. There's nothing wrong with incorporating new data that you get. If you really like the no-till, my grocery row gardening system is a no-till system.
Mm-hmm.
After usually initially you till to make the beds, but then after that you just leave it no-till and you continuously mulch on it, which is great, but it's not the highest productivity that I get. The highest productivity I get is when I take the tractor out and I till a big area up and I plant it at 3 foot wide spacing. It's just, yeah, the people are very faddish and people are ignoring a lot of the stuff from the past.
Because our ancestors were stupid.
Our answers are stupid, right? Which is it's really a shame, because
Yeah.
they
We
would
know
have
everything.
a
They
lot
did,
more
they
than
didn't have
we
the
do.
science we have, and we know everything. And you're right. You're right. It's funny to think about how plentiful everything is to us at our fingertips now, and that there's no need, there's no like there's a desire for sure, I think. And I think that's what, kind of radiates through this whole homestead movement is there's a desire, but there's no need that we have to rely on our own land, on
Right.
our own skills, on our own knowledge, on our own practice.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's trying to keep it simple. I wrote a book a year ago. I published it, called Minimalist Gardening, and it was basically that philosophy of gardening. That's it.
That's
The
it.
minimalist gardening was the
Love it.
philosophy that's behind it, to keep it simple from the beginning. Like, how do you figure out what crops really like your climate? What tools are you going to use? How much do you really need to buy? And how much junk do you actually have to garden? And so the idea is okay, you're gonna just, if you were just gonna start from scratch, fundamentally, you
Right.
can keep your gardening pretty minimal. And there's nothing wrong with experimenting or putting in raised beds or anything like that, but you don't have to.
Right. You don't have to. And I
You don't
think people get so hung up on that. They think, oh, well, I need XYZ before I can garden. Well, no, not really. In actual reality, you need a shovel and a little plot of land
Right.
and some
I had
seeds.
I had a woman tell me, she's like, I would love to garden, but I just can't get my husband to build those beds.
That's sad.
Come on, just go dig something. Go dig a
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Throw a tarp down, let it sit, pull it up, dig it.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
obviously not American farmsteaders.
No, no. No, we do all the different kinds of gardening actually here. We till, we no-till, we play with grocery row gardens. We think that's super cool.
And truth be told, I had an aquaponics garden multiple years ago.
Mhm.
And while it was fun. It was kind of like a big science experiment. It was
Right.
fun. Yeah, we grew a little bit of food out of it, but it definitely didn't replace my in-ground rows.
Right,
That's for sure.
right.
And I
Yeah.
killed fish. You're right.
I've seen a lot of dead fish.
So what is your favorite way to start a garden for a new gardener?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Like
If
somebody who doesn't know anything and they see all the
somebody that
info on the internet, right?
Right.
And they want to start a garden, like there's so much conflict there. Like what's the right thing to do? What's the easiest thing to do?
the easiest thing to do is to probably, well, it's going to depend on your soil.
Mm,
If you're dealing with clay soil, the easiest thing to do is not to dig it. If
hmm
you're dealing with
Mm.
sandy soil, the easiest thing to do is to dig it. So with a clay soil, if they were starting, if you do a lasagna garden or a deep mulch style garden, you're gonna cut the grass, water the ground really good, lay some cardboard on top of the grass, and then build up with whatever organic matter you can
hmm
find. This is just to start a small garden. If you wanted to start a giant garden, this would not be the way to do it because it's just
Right.
too many resources. But if you
Right.
could go to your local appliance store or mattress store and go get a big square of cardboard, one of those big, the you can get those perfect ones with no tape from the mattress store. I discovered this recently. You can go to a
Oh,
mattress
Good
store and
trick.
they have they go and they ship them off to some recycling place, and they're usually very happy to give them to you. As a matter of fact, our mattress store said, the guy said, "Do you want me to just have the guys bring a truck of cardboard over to you?" I'm like, "No, I don't need
yeah.
that much." But
That would be
if you lay it
great.
on top of the ground, you throw your grass clippings on top of it, you throw some leaves on it, you throw some rotten hay on it, you throw wood chips on it, whatever you've got, you layer up organic matter. As I even throw some kitchen scraps and whatever on there. You're just making a cushion of a mulch about this deep, and then you make pockets in it and punch a little hole and put in some perfect soil or compost into those
Hmm.
holes. So you could get even a bag of potting soil or something. It doesn't matter, or you could find some nice loam from the woods and scrape it up and just make little pockets, and then you put your transplants for your seedlings into it, and you basically are just making this beautiful little mattress, and you don't ever have to dig up all of the grass beneath. It's extremely hard to dig a bed in clay. So when I was dealing with clay down in the tropics and when I lived in Tennessee, I did more mulching up to build the soil. Sometimes, if the weather was right, we would hack into the ground and we would make mounded beds. It just
Hmm
would often when we didn't have enough organic material and we needed a bigger space. But if I had a small space and I wanted to improve it and I wanted to grow food right away, I would do that lasagna garden style. If I was in sandy soil, it's pretty easy to get a fork or a broad fork
hmm
and loosen the ground up, and you can just grab all of the weeds out of it and throw them off to the sides
Right.
and just make a little mounded bed, like 4 foot by 8 foot. If you have any compost that you can throw into it, or even I found that alfalfa pellets are really good to just dig into a new garden bed.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a semi cheap organic amendment, because if you get one sack of alfalfa pellets for say $16 or something like that, and
hmm
you just bury them in the bed, even a 4 by 8, you can put a half a bag buried into the bed and plant on top of it. And as it rots down, it releases nitrogen, and it also adds that much needed organic matter to the sand. That grows some pretty nice crops. It's like slow
hmm
release nitrogen. Um, so yeah, I would just dig mounded beds in that. Or if I wanted to do a bigger area, I would just till the area up and then rake out the weeds as best as I can. If I have a couple of weeks, I would want to water it really well and then till it again to kill the weeds again to try and really shred them down.
Yep.
hmm
And then make my little mounded beds in there. I usually just scrape the pathways down a little bit and throw the dirt onto a mound next to it so I can go up a little bit. But you
hmm
don't even need to necessarily go up if your ground drainage is already pretty good. But
hmm
it's a matter of simplicity when I first start. If I'm first starting in an area, I'm either going to just run with a lasagna garden, or I'm going to just dig a few beds. Or if I have access to a tiller, which oftentimes I didn't have access to a tiller, I would just skip that part of it, or I'd borrow somebody else's tiller. Like somebody said once, I could bring my tractor over and till a big area for you. I was like, okay, great.
Yes,
So then you
please.
just maintain it with a hoe and hoe down the weeds as soon as they show up. Otherwise, a big area is gonna kill you. But
Hmm
if you're just starting, I wouldn't go much bigger than maybe a couple of 4 by 8 beds, because if you learn to be faithful in the small things, then you can
Sure.
expand later, you know?
Sure. Yes. Yeah, burnout is a real thing, especially I tend to be the kind of person who jumps all in. When I get into something, I
Oh
research it
yeah,
to death and I get in and I want to perfect the thing. Gardening is the thing that can't be perfected. Gardening in Florida, anyways.
changes every year. Every
Yes.
always different. And yeah, I mean, I remember Noah Sanders, who is up in central Alabama. He teaches gardening. He works with Foundations for Farming.
Hmm.
Noah Sanders said, don't prepare a garden that's bigger than the area you can weed. You're not going to maintain it.
That's
He's like,
very good
you got to
advice.
figure out how much area you really are going to weed, and
Right.
just
Right.
to that, because I've done that before too. It's a 68-degree day out. It's beautiful. You've got a tiller that you've rented from Ace, and
Uh-huh.
Right.
like you could till your whole lawn under that day. It feels so good. What?
We
I'll
can
go a
grow
little bigger
everything.
plant. Then you get to a couple of months later, and it's super hot out, and the whole thing
Mhm.
is full of pigweed and
Mhm.
bindweed, and it's miserable out there, and you're like picking through the twisted yellow cucumbers and stuff.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
why did I do this? This is horrible. Just
Right.
mow it.
Right.
Gardeners aren't the best at foresight, though.
Right.
We get
No,
excited.
Yeah.
we get excited.
You
That
know,
spring.
and then you just feel defeated and you're throwing your hands up, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So,
think in Florida, everybody feels defeated by July.
oh yeah. I'm
Usually,
totally ignoring my garden at this point.
I'm
yeah.
I'm I'm in it, but I'm getting it ready for fall.
Yeah, I'm starting for fall, except for my Puerto Rican black beans. I got some seeds from Ryan and Kelly, those Puerto Rican black beans, and I
Oh,
put,
I've heard those are amazing.
oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I put 10 of them in my garden and literally it's taken over like half my garden. It's not a ground cover, it's a garden cover.
It's a wild
That's awesome.
jungle. It is awesome. I mean, to me, I think it's awesome. Jenny's overwhelmed. She's like, I don't even want to go in there.
Well, I just can't wait to make compost.
Yeah,
Are
that's
you?
the other thing. It makes so much biomass. There's
Right.
like so much foliage there.
It
It's
Yes.
sounds a lot
awesome.
like the velvet beans that we
Yeah.
grow. Velvet beans just choke and cover absolutely everything, and they make tons and tons of nitrogen. But I
Yes.
guess with the Puerto Rican black beans, are you eating them as a dry bean?
Yes. Yep.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
Absolutely.
There's not a lot of dry beans that do well in our climate. Usually they rot in the pods. All the
They
cool
mold.
varieties like
Yeah.
Jacob's Cattle,
Yeah.
Lazy Housewife, that bean name cracked me up, so I bought some. They grew really they grew really great, but they tended to sprout or rot in the pods. They were
Yeah.
too lazy to ripen, I guess. But
You're right.
Right.
Lazy housewives.
yes,
Just
it's
sitting
pretty funny.
around getting moldy. It's funny. Yeah, I'm excited to have those too, but Jenny's are doing really well. I haven't met anybody who's grown those that hasn't loved them.
Yeah. I mean, they
I'm
took a
gonna
little
have to
while to
get some.
get going.
That's Seed the Stars, right? Seed the
Yeah.
Stars.
Yep.
Hmm.
Seed the
Yep.
Stars are going to be at Scrub Fest coming up October 11th.
I love them.
They have
I
been. They're
love their
not on the
philosophy.
official. They're not on the official announcement yet, but I've got to. It's just a matter that I've got to go redesign the official announcement so I can put their name on it, because they're
Add
going to
them
be talking
in.
about seed saving.
Oh, they're
And
so great.
That's one
yeah, they
thing
do a great
about
job.
event planning. You'll change the information no less than 1,000 times.
Yes.
Yes. And
Sure.
fortunately, it's usually better. It's usually somebody showing up late and I can add it. So it's like,
That's
oh,
right.
we added more value to this event. It's not,
Yes.
it hasn't gone where everybody starts canceling. That would
No.
be bad. Yeah, well, it's going to be me, but I'm going to bring my guitar.
We've had both, and I have to say the first is better.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yep. All right.
Yeah. So, what's do you have like a early on gardening mistake that like turned into like a family joke or like you can laugh about now? Like something ridiculous that you tried or
Uh, well, yeah, there's been a lot of mistakes. A few years ago, we thought, my wife likes pak choi.
Mm,
okay.
And I was like, I like pak choi. That's pretty good.
Yep.
So I started about 70 of them and I planted them out in the garden.
mm.
And we had so much pak choi. The kids hated it. Wanted to eat it. They didn't like it. My wife was putting it in every meal.
Oh,
And it was all the kids were like, Dad,
again.
what we've got to eat pak choi until it's gone. And he's like, you grew it, you got to eat it.
Right.
So
Or you
yes,
could feed it to the pigs and have bacon, but that's just my
yes. And at that point, I didn't have pigs. So it was yeah, now
Oh,
I feel like if you've got pigs, you can just throw everything to the pigs.
that's
But
right.
your kids are pickier than pigs. As
Yes.
much as you try to dispose of the garden produce, there's only some things that the kids will really like. And
Yeah.
they like to go out and pick green beans and they like to go out and eat Everglades tomatoes and things like that. But another one is we've grown pumpkins for years,
Mm.
and the kids are tired of pumpkins. They just don't want to eat pumpkin anymore because, I mean, last year I think we had almost 2,000 pounds of pumpkins.
Wow.
So they get tired of them, but we were
Yeah.
growing them for breeding purposes. We're trying to breed varieties that are suited to the area. We were crossing Seminole pumpkins with other varieties of Cucurbita machata, kind
Hmm.
of landrace some varieties together. And we've got a variety this year that I'm really psyched about because it was a cross between a tropical pumpkin from Grenada that was a warty black pumpkin about this big.
Oh,
So it came from just north of the the equatorial region, and I grew them because I was trying to maintain the variety, but I didn't realize it must have been the same species as Seminole pumpkins. Because when I saved seeds from that black pumpkin and I planted them out in our field plot in the spring to try and stabilize the black warty pumpkin, I ended up with flesh-colored warty pumpkins with like bruising looks on them. They look
Oh,
like
weird.
bruised, warty flesh. They are the ugliest pumpkins that I've ever seen in my entire life.
Okay.
And they taste fantastic. We
Oh,
had
that
one
was my
today. The
question.
flesh inside, I thought it was going to be stringy, or because some of the tropical pumpkins they can tend to be really watery or stringy or not very
Right.
flavorful. The Seminole pumpkins tend to be pretty nutty and sweet.
yeah.
Hmm.
It depends. Some of them aren't.
Right. Right.
So it's like you just really never know how those genetics are going to combine. But this F1 generation, I had my wife baked a slice of it the other night, just baked it straight. That's how we taste it. We're gonna just bake a pumpkin and
Right.
find out what it tastes like. And it was sweet and delicious and really good.
Mm.
And so that one is going to be one that we're going to try and stabilize it. And I'm going to sell it as the zombie pumpkin because
Okay.
they really look gross. So I'm going to get
I'm taking
my
note.
daughter is going to put on the zombie makeup and like carry these pumpkins, wander around the yard with these horrifying, weird looking. I've never seen pumpkins that look like this,
That's
but
cool.
they're really far genetic. Landrace probably mix up from down in the Caribbean for who knows how many hundreds of years with a variety that was a Florida variety for hundreds of years, and now you've got really ugly babies.
Sweet.
So it's like they're so ugly they're actually cool. But now this means going back to our gardening mistakes that my kids are going to have to suffer through eating 1,000 pounds of them next year so we can save the seeds. So
Oh,
Right. So
well,
that way we can look forward to them in the seed shop.
right, hopefully, yes.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Hopefully
I'll
we
be
can
on the lookout
stabilize
for
it, 'cause
that
you
for
never know what's
sure.
going to
That's funny. Yeah. So I guess then your mistake is just getting carried away.
get a
That's
little
not so
carried
much a
away with
mistake.
certain
It's
crops.
just a funny. Yeah. Yeah. I
Our
know.
2-year-old, our 2-year-old last year, we were growing Cucuza squash and we ended up with a lot of it. We ended up with a
Mhm.
couple hundred pounds of it, and the kids were getting tired of it too. But I would be like, sweetie, do you want to go pick Cucuza? And she's like, yes. And she would go and we'd pick them and carry them in. I was like, aren't they so beautiful? Aren't you so glad we get to eat them? Oh, yes. And then we would serve them and she'd be like, but I don't like them. So it was like, but remember, we picked them. Remember how wonderful they are. You love them. Remember how
Yeah.
much you love them. Yes, but I don't like them.
Mhm.
You tried.
And she just wouldn't like. You could just leave her. You could leave her in front of a plate of Cucuza for an hour. She won't eat it.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah,
it's funny.
yeah. It's like we just grew too much of something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know this year I heard you talking it was watermelon with your son's land race project.
Oh yeah, we have something like 60 watermelons that are starting to rot on our porch right now
Oh
that he's got to
goodness.
save out of like literally he's better get out there and because they're going to start exploding.
Oh,
It's-
yes.
I have
Yes.
never had it where you just simply cannot eat your way through all of the watermelons because usually my kids love watermelons. They're tired of watermelons. They don't want any more watermelons. I'm
That's
like,
crazy. That's so
that's
funny.
so many watermelons. Like we could open 5 or 6 a day. Um,
Wow.
but you can't sell them
Right.
because if we sell them, he actually does better because of the seed business.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Growing the variety out is for the seeds, it's not for the flesh. So people are like, why don't you sell them by the road? It's like, well, if I sold them by the road, it's like
Lose the
half of the
seed.
price that he would get if he sold the seeds.
Hmm.
Right.
So basically, you're just going to gut them, take the seeds out, and compost them. We'll just return them to the earth. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not like it's not really a waste. Uh, people are like, well, why don't you pickle them? Why don't you dehydrate them? So, well, have you tried dehydrating 60 watermelons? I could dehydrate one watermelon with about an hour's worth of work of cutting it all up and putting it on the trays, and you're gonna flip it probably. And so it's like, it doesn't make sense. It makes
No.
zero sense.
Mm-mm.
But you got to remember that these things are basically free
Hmm.
because we tilled the area up, we made some mounds, we planted them, so we put a little bit of effort into it, and we grew 100 and something watermelons with sunshine and rain and almost no fertilizer because we're trying to breed a stronger landrace variety. So it
Hmm.
was almost no inputs grew us way more watermelon than we could eat. It's just a gift of God. It's like it's just so many watermelons. We can eat all we want, and if they go back into the soil, that's fine. You didn't really lose anything.
That's a good
So,
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
Hmm. For
and the
sure.
cows do enjoy eating the guts of them too. So we can, I guess, you turn them into beef
Yes.
and milk.
Yes. Melons are our cows' favorite treats for sure.
I just love
They
them.
love them. Yeah. And maybe they'll spread some seed out throughout the property.
They probably will. Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever's left in there, they're gonna be they have
It
watermelons and the cow pies.
becomes part of the project for sure. Oh gosh. All right. We have some questions we have to look through. So we have listeners all over, but I think most of our listeners are more local to the Southeast, especially. But so speaking Florida gardening, you're pretty experienced there. What advice would you give to someone just starting out in our climate?
First of all, grow plants that like Florida.
Mm,
That's the biggest thing is grow the plants that actually like Florida, and they're not the plants that you're going to see recommended in most places.
Right.
So if you grow true yams, if you grow sweet potatoes, if you grow Seminole pumpkins, if you grow Everglades tomatoes, if you grow yard-long beans, if you grow southern peas, okra, these are all easy. And if you get further south in the state, bananas, plantains,
mhm,
cassava, those are all very, very easy to grow. And if you grow those plants that take the heat and the humidity, and you've got your various tropical greens like longevity spinach, Suriname, purslane, you've got
mhm.
some of your edible hibiscus varieties like cranberry hibiscus, Mexican tree spinach. You start to adjust and grow these things instead of trying to grow Yankee crops. It's going to You're going to have success immediately. When I wrote Totally Crazy Easy Florida Gardening,
Mhm.
that book has been a Florida bestseller. It's been in the top of Amazon's Florida South region gardening for a very, very long time since it came out in about 2015, I think. So it's 10 years. That book came out 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So that,
This is for
that
our
book,
viewers. That's it.
Totally Crazy Easy Florida Gardening,
Yep.
that book right there was based on us throwing plants in our backyard just north of Ocala and not treating them particularly well, and then doubling down on the winners. So for a while, what we did is we just tried to get plants from various tropical regions, anything that was recommended by the various permaculture nerds that were around the area. People like Craig Hepworth, Josh Jameson, Mart Hale, other people that I knew that had tried things, and then just whatever we thought, man, maybe that'll work, maybe that'll work, maybe that'll work.
Yeah.
Eric Tonesmeyer's Perennial Vegetables book. Let's see how many of those we can throw back here and see what happens.
Right.
And just threw crops at the backyard for a few years. And then the ones that did really well, we realized you could literally grow a ton of food in a Florida backyard as a moderate talent gardener, not even great. Like
Mhm.
you could be pretty much just starting out even. And if you give a little bit of care and you plant these plants, you will get food out of your backyard. It's not so much that, most of the book's approach is the approach of here's how you get beefsteak tomatoes to grow. You're going to start your transplants in January and you're going to do this and you're going to feed them with fish emulsion and you're going to stake them and then you're going to spray them and then you're going to cover them with netting and you're going to do this. And I'm like, I ain't got time for all that.
Right.
I'm not a professional. I'm not going to be a professional gardener. I've got, like, at that time that I wrote that book, I was working as a freelancer and we were trying to save money by gardening.
Right.
And the gardening was not my job.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't treat it like a job. I just didn't have time.
Right.
And so these people that are writing these books are people that are so into their gardening and they're very precious about their plants. And we were like, we ain't got time for that. We just plant a whole bunch of stuff, and the stuff that does well, we planted it again.
If it dies, it dies.
Right.
If it dies, it dies. And so what we ended up discovering that way was pretty much survival of the fittest. The ones that were supposed to be there kept growing. So we discovered crops that would produce us, like the true yams. I stuck a piece of one at the base of a dogwood tree, and then I dug it up again 2 years later after ignoring it for 2 years, and I got a root that's this big. And that was it's just like a huge white potato, and you could eat it just like white potatoes. And my wife made mashed potatoes out of it, and we served it to a friend of ours at Thanksgiving, and we didn't tell him that it was yam. And he's like, "Hey, this is really good." I said, "Those aren't potatoes." It's like you're at the Chinese restaurant. That wasn't chicken.
Uh-oh.
What do you mean? What is it? What is it? What did you do to us?
Just put some sauce on it. It'll be all right.
It's fine. No, he's like, this is really good. And so you got all this, you could try to figure out all this effort to try and keep the fire ants from eating your potatoes and keep them from rotting and keep them from having all these issues and scab and fungus and whatever. Or you could just grow a plant that's very much like potato, but it takes off. So for Florida gardeners, that's number one, is plant crops that love the area. And the second thing to remember is that Florida does not really want to be an annual ecosystem. It's not a grassland state. If you leave an area alone for a couple of years, it will turn into a forest of whatever trees happen to show up.
Yep.
And they tend to be invasive species. Things like paper mulberry, things like popcorn tree up in the Panhandle. If you get down further south, it's Brazilian pepper, aka ornamental holly. You've got these different pest species that fill in the gaps. And if you have a foreclosure, we saw this during the foreclosure crisis. You got a foreclosure house, the whole front of it's turning into shrubs and trees in a few years, and the stuff grows really fast. Well, then why are we putting all this effort in maintaining grass and low-level ecosystems? If you till an area up and you plant lettuces in Florida, they get shredded by everything. Everything wants to just come and tear your lettuce up. But you houses with an old grapefruit tree in it that's been there for 40 years, dropping buckets and buckets of grapefruit on the ground, or buckets and buckets of sand pears. Those old pears, somebody planted a pear tree 50 years ago, or somebody planted a brown turkey fig, and it's half the size of the house, completely covered with figs. Nobody's paying any attention to it. It wants to be a forest. So if you work with it and you plant those trees, you create a Florida food forest type of a system, and you can grow your annuals around the edges where they're getting about half shade, and you can end up growing a lot more food than you think with less effort. But you're going to be investing 3 to 4 years.
Even some of that Yankee food.
Even some of that Yankee food will fit in there.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I've been trying to do things like I tried growing rhubarb. I tried growing gooseberries. I tried growing asparagus. You get very minimal amounts of asparagus. The rhubarb died. Gooseberries died. I've got 5 sweet cherry varieties that I planted in my yard, that I planted in the shade underneath the edge of an oak tree. And we're just going to see.
We're just going to see. That's how a lot of my gardening happens. We're just going to see.
Right. You're just going to see. Well, and I mean, that's generally how you learn something. I mean, just try it, put it in the ground, see how it does.
Right. And a lot of people they're afraid to fail. I mean, how many people are afraid to fail? So they never try anything.
So they don't.
Yeah.
It's like, look at, your life is going to end in death.
Right.
Like at some point you're going to die. Are you going to just never try anything? I mean,
does that mean you failed at life?
Yeah. Hopefully not. But it's that like I don't know. I had somebody was trying to plant a food forest for 4 or 5 years, and all the trees had grown through the pots into the ground and never been planted because she couldn't figure out where to plant them. And it was like, this is like this analysis paralysis stuff. It's got to
It's too
stop.
much. Yeah.
Go dig a
Yeah.
hole and jam a fruit tree in the ground and get it out, get it over with. Go stick one in the ground and then walk a little ways from it and stick another one in the ground, and walk a little ways from it and stick another one in the ground. And you're going to end up with a some sort of a food forest system eventually.
Yeah.
It's not that.
That's exactly how I had to finally start with fruit trees in particular, was just put some in and put some mulch down.
Right.
And then, and yeah, just like you said, walk a little ways, put another one in. And then I kind of look at that for a few weeks and go, I think I could fit something over there. Let's go see what they have for sale at the nursery. And that's kind of how the approach I've taken.
Yeah, because they want to be planted. I mean, if you leave them in the pots, they're going to literally grow through the pots and plant themselves. Like they want
Yeah.
to be planted.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I most of my food forest talks and demonstrations I do are not even so much about all of the details of how the food forest is going to be managed and everything. I've planted a lot of food forests over the years and done some for different people too. It's more about getting people in the mindset of just enjoying the fact that you can go out there and plant and just breaking through that. It really helps. I remember one time a friend said, "Do you want to go jet skiing?" I'm like, "Not really. I've never gone jet skiing. I don't know how to jet ski. I have no idea." And he's like,
It
"Just
sounds
come with my
dangerous.
wife and I. Just come with my wife and I and we'll go jet skiing." I was like, "Fine." So I ended up riding on the back of this guy's jet ski, and we raced his wife, and one of my kids like rode on the back of his wife's jet ski, and I'm just like hanging onto this guy, and he just hauled it down the Tensas River as we were visiting his place right along the Tensas River, and we just went hauling it, and I was like, this is actually really fun. But I never would have done this if there wasn't somebody that was like, come on, come
Uh-huh.
on. I'm like, you know what? I would rather just wander around the woods and look for wild blueberries. No, we're gonna go jet skiing. I'm like, okay, all right. It's like sometimes you just need somebody to go, come here, come here, come on, come on, come on,
Right.
come on, come on, let's go. And to just kind of go, hey, you can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once you kind of get into it, it's like, oh, this is really fun. I'm really glad that I ended up doing this. And
Yeah.
when you start to see, like, you get your first blooms, you planted some ginger and it puts its first blooms out. You're like, oh, that's so cool. Or
Oh,
you get your first
yeah.
apple, or you get your first fig. And it's like, it's so much more valuable than I could go buy a
Right.
little plastic tray of figs from the Whole
Right.
Foods or something.
Right.
It's the
Right.
best
That
fig
that
I've ever
one
had.
that you grew is so much better.
Yeah. And you just have to get over the analysis paralysis and just get out there and stick something in the ground.
Hmm.
So that's what it's kind of my goal is to just get people to shove. And so when I give my food forest talks, it's mostly like, let's get started. And I'm going to show you how to basically lay a system out in 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And from there, whatever help you need in figuring out the problems of your plants or anything, I'm easy to get a hold of. I'll help you. But
Yeah.
first you got to get out there and start planting stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I was going to say, as you talked about that, you have been that person for so many people, I think, where you've just kind of shoved them into it. Come on, you can do it.
Yeah, come on, do it. Just stick something in the ground.
Yep. Yep.
I've even done housewarming. If somebody invites me over to their house, I'll often just bring a mulberry tree and drop it on their porch. I'm like, here, I brought you a tree.
Oh my gosh.
What do I do with it?
What do I
I'm
do
like,
with it?
plant it over there. You want me to plant it? I went to this lady's house. She just bought a new house, and I brought her a big potted sugar cane.
Hmm.
And she's like, this is really cool, but what do I do with it? I said, plant it over there. I said, you got a shovel? And she's like, yeah. I said, I'll plant it for you. So I planted a sugar cane in her backyard. So she comes back to me that fall. She's like, my sugar cane's this big. She goes, like, some of the kids were over and we were peeling all the sugar. It was so great. But she wouldn't have done it herself. It was just kind of like, just don't
Right.
stick this thing in the ground. It's going to be cool.
That's funny. That's cool.
It's so crazy that we've actually gotten to a place where it's like that, where
Hmm.
people are like, what do I do?
Hmm.
Like our
Yeah.
great grandmother would have never said that. You
Mhm.
know, it would have been like,
No.
oh, it's a mulberry tree.
Mhm.
Let's go put it in the ground.
Yeah, that's great.
It's shocking.
Mhm. It is shocking to think about how far we've come. Yeah. I like
Yeah,
that. It feels
unless
like
it's
we're
been,
coming back though. We're going back, I should say.
I
I
would hope
I
so.
feel like there's definitely a massive turning back to, to growing food.
yeah, people are digging back into history and realizing what we've lost.
Hmm.
I think you're really realizing what they lost. A lot of information was lost when women entered into the workforce because they used to teach a lot of the home information, the
Mhm.
gardening, sewing, home ec, repairs, writing checks, all that kind of stuff. It was the woman of the house that was managing that, and the guy was stuck off of the factory or out in the
Right.
field or whatever. Often the women and the daughters were working together in the home economy, managing a lot of these things,
Hmm.
and the women got put off, going to go be a paralegal or a nursing assistant or whatever, and they go and they take a job somewhere else, or maybe even a whatever kind of job that takes them out of the house, and then the kids were basically in school, never learned this data, and they say, I wish
Mm.
my grandmother used to do fill in the blank.
Right.
Now, I wish that I had learned how to do that. And so like
Mhm.
this big gap of information it just fell because that was the one thread that remained in the home was the mom, and a lot of it, it's the corporations were looking for labor, and and
Yeah, and
the
now
whole economy got busted.
we're so many generations removed from that at this point that not even I don't even remember my grandmother doing this or that, and I'm in my
No,
mid 40s.
It
So
was more my
like
great
and
grandmother.
my
it
and
was
when I
my great
talk to my
grandparents.
yeah, and when I talk to my grandmother, she'll tell me stories about her childhood, which was just barely post-depression era.
Right.
And, so they were still living in that mindset and they were like in an urban city in New England. So like the stories from that time frame, she loves to tell the same stories over and over again, but I love to soak it
Mhm.
in because I love that era, but I love that whole like multi-generational living all in the
Yeah.
same home. They had two city lots side by side, and one lot was just for growing food. And so she has those memories that she tells me about, and they only had chicken once a
So
week.
cool.
That was their meat for the week, and
Wow.
stuff like that. But even still, like my point is, grandma didn't teach me how to can anything. She didn't can anything,
No.
They
and
bought food in cans.
exactly. So
Yeah, that was it.
she
I mean,
did when she was young, though, but when she became an adult, she wasn't doing that anymore. It became too convenient to run down to the grocery store. That era when grocery stores entered and you didn't have to go to the butcher and you didn't have to go to the pharmacy and you didn't have to go to the bakery, that everything became in this one-stop shop and it just became too easy.
yes.
And
Yeah.
mom wasn't home anymore. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, my parents did not garden. My
Hmm.
grandparents did not garden. My great grandparents and my great grandmother, she canned the food that was coming in from the garden. She was always cooking a lot from scratch. And I remember the jars of pickled beets down in
Mhm.
there. They had a cellar up in upstate New York, and
Hmm.
my grandpa had about maybe a quarter-acre garden or so in the backyard. It was just rows and rows of beautiful crops. And his parents had had a dairy in that area and had been divided up into multiple. So you could see how it had gone from like a big family dairy
Hmm.
down to they had houses on land where they were doing their own gardens. And then the next generation, they moved to the city, took
Mm.
a city job, and then that was it.
Don't want to work
All
on
that
that
all that
dairy
information's
anymore.
gone,
Yeah.
the gap. But it's coming back. It's got to. We've got to figure out how to grow our own food.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is coming back, and I see a lot of it with a lot more families homeschooling.
Mhm.
That I think is helping to kind of turn things back around a little bit, getting the families back at home. So, speaking of events,
Mhm.
of course, we have Scrubfest coming up October 11th, but you have an event before that. You're having a big plant sale.
Yeah,
Um,
we're going to be in Defuniak Springs,
okay.
which is in the Florida Panhandle.
Yep.
It's going to be worth coming to. I'm going to be talking about how to start a food forest the easy way and getting people to jump in and plant their own food forest. In my private school group, I have this course on putting a food forest together called How to Start a Food Forest the Easy Way, and it's a 6-part course. So I'm going to kind of give a condensed version of that to get people planting. There's a coffee group that meets at the Potting Shed Nursery, which is a relatively new nursery that's in Defuniak Springs. And so that coffee group has been talking about food forests. They basically are like a food forest enthusiasts group. So we decided to open it up. They invited me over, and there's a small fee to get in, which helps pay for my gas because it's a little bit of a haul.
Yeah.
Then you're helping to feed a large family in economically depressed region
Okay.
by contributing to that fee. But anyhow, so I'm going to be giving my talk and giving you the overview on what you need to do to get your food forest in the ground this fall. But I'm also going to be digging deep into the nursery for all the weird and rare and cool food forest plants that we have in stock. And
Bring them along.
there's also that plant nursery that's there. So we're going to be, they've got their plants for sale. I'll have my plants for sale, have books and t-shirts, and we'll hang out for a few hours. That is on the 22nd, August 22nd.
We'll link that in the show notes, where they can get tickets to that and to Scrubfest in October, which is in Fort McCoy. We talk about Scrubfest all the time.
I know.
It's so much fun.
It is.
We
It
love
is.
it. We always have so much fun out there.
I think our listeners are familiar with that one.
Yeah, this Scrubfest, we're going to have Stan DeFreitas is going to be talking. And Stan DeFreitas wrote the original Florida gardening book called Florida Gardening back in the 1980s. That book came out, and he has been on public radio, and he had done a lot. Now he has an environmental consulting firm, but his writing inspired me when I was a kid, and I got in touch with him and I said, hey man, it would just make my entire life if you could show up at Scrubfest and talk about Florida gardening.
Nice.
Because
full circle.
He's almost 30 years older than me, and I talked to him on the phone, and he's hilarious. He's still he's super witty and sharp, and just so completely into his plants. The guy is very, very multi-talented, but it was super cool to talk to somebody. I read his book when I was 8.
Oh wow.
And now I get to talk to the author now that I'm 46.
And he's coming to your event. That's so cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah, he's gonna come and speak. I said, would you be able to come over? He's like, yeah, where is it? Sure, I'll come. It's like, really?
Awesome.
Really will? Because he's like an important guy. He's busy. He does these contracts where they try to figure out what plants belong in what place and how they, environmental impact type things. Wow, this is that's super cool. So Stan's going to be there. Seed to Stars are going to be talking about seed saving. Elise Pickett from the Urban Harvest, she's going to be back again. Shauna is going to be talking about food over pharma. She's been doing some cool stuff. She was the CrossFit lifting champion in Berlin not that long ago.
We just talked to her on the podcast a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yeah, you got to be careful when you shake her hand. I mean, she'll break your fingers. She's
so funny.
Epic. Yeah.
Yeah. She's so happy.
And she's a great woman, and she does some really good. Have you seen her? I got to show you. I've got this. She gave me this. It's a pot holder, but the kids stuck pencils in it.
Yes.
But look at this. She makes these super cool planters now that are just awesome and rustic.
They're beautiful.
This is all pallet wood.
Yeah.
No, I mean, these are gorgeous.
They're cool.
So anyhow, I've got to get a plant to put in my office to put in it, but right now it's holding pencils.
Yeah, I've got one of her plant stands, which I love. And then recently she started making the geometric planters. Have you seen those? They are something else. She showed it all laid out and then all put together on her Instagram. And
that's cool.
She puts a ton of work into that.
She does.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
She's very artistic. And I think that
I think she's going to play some music while she's there too.
Yes, yeah. And my son and I are going to play through a set of music too. We hadn't done that before. So
Cool.
We're gonna do a live gig. It'll be fun.
Awesome. We'll be there.
And then I think
Are you gonna sing,
Tim, no,
Donna?
we are not going to
Donna,
sing.
will Donna sing?
Nobody wants to hear me sing, I promise. I'll sing, but it's not going to go well.
It's gonna be karaoke with Donna.
Right, sure. You know, they say if you plug your ears while you sing and you hear yourself, that's what you sound like. Have
Oh,
you ever done that?
no.
No, I
Yeah.
haven't tried that.
Not good. It's not good. But I'll do it.
You gotta plug your ears while you sing. It's
Yeah,
what you actually sound like.
that's what they say.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how you test the truth to that though.
We're all going to be testing it later.
I guess you would have to sing with your ears closed and then see if it sounds like a recording of you singing.
Right, right. It's funny. And you're gonna
That's
have
the next podcast.
Tim Armstrong too, right?
Yeah, Tim from Eat
Oh
Your
yes, Tim's gonna be
Jacks.
there. I almost forgot Tim. I shouldn't forget Tim. Tim is gonna be
Yep.
talking about food forest systems in Florida. He's from Eat Your Yard, Jax. He's
Yeah.
very knowledgeable. And he should have his plants there too. This is another thing that we're doing this year is we're gonna have more plants there. So
Cool.
Sam said, just everybody bring your plants this time. So
I
instead
love
of
it.
before we already had a ton of plants because Sam's nursery is epic.
Loaded.
But we're gonna have some more overflow because we're gonna have Tim's plants and I'm bringing a big load of plants this time. So we found that Sam and I actually we sell some of the same stuff, but we also have different interests. So we were right next to each other at the American Farmsteaders and we had a lot of different plants from each other.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I
it's
bet
more
you'll
of a
find that with
collaboration
Tim
than a
too.
competition. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
Tim's
really
great.
cool walking around Tim's place with him, just to follow him around Eat Your Yard Jacks. And like when you first look at it, just looks like this weedy jungle.
Not like nothing.
And you're like, what are we walking into here? But then you start walking around with him and he's, oh, well, we've got this down here and we planted it here because it thrives with this. And then we have this up above. And
Mhm.
it's amazing to walk around his place.
Yeah.
Yep. Very cool.
It's a great system because it's not immediately recognizable as food.
Right.
You know, you could just kind
Right,
of
exactly.
you walk through it and suddenly it starts getting unfolded for you what the person did and what he was planning as it goes.
Exactly.
Oh, that's cool. I wouldn't even have seen that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was over at Randall's place just a few days ago and he's like, check this out. And he showed me back in the corner, he's got a pawpaw tree with great big pawpaws on it. And it's just kind of hiding in a corner. It's like I probably wouldn't have seen that just walking past. And
Yeah.
then behind it, there's an old Bradford pear seedling that was alongside his fence, and he cut into it and he grafted a cultivated pear variety onto the Bradford, and now it's just loaded, and the top of it's got pears on it, and it's like that's over in my neighbor's yard. I grafted all of their Bradford pear trees too, and there's all these fruits, and like, yeah, that's pretty cool. When you
Nice.
see somebody like Tim that knows what he's doing,
Yeah.
and
He's
it's
got
like,
so much
walk around and just
knowledge.
tell me what's going on, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
He's
cool.
always got some plant I haven't ever heard of.
Yeah.
I think I know what I'm talking about until I go and talk to
So you
another
talk to
food forest
Tim.
person, and then it goes like, whoa, that's a cool one.
Talk real quick for a minute, if you don't mind, about your school group. Tell our listeners what
Okay.
that is and where they can find that.
Yeah, I started a community on school after at one point I had a Patreon. People said you should do Patreon and then you should put some of your longer videos and your teaching and stuff up there. But I wasn't very good at keeping it up, and it wasn't really a great setup. And it feels more a little bit like e-begging, like please just give me some money and
Right. Yeah.
and please support me. I'm just a poor artist. But the school community is more of it's really active and you can post photos and interact. And I put up a course first of all on how to create a food forest, and this is for any climate. So it's basically the overview of how you can put a food forest in with minimal work. You're going to turn a lawn into a food forest and not have to hire a landscape designer, how to overcome the analysis paralysis, how to mimic natural forest systems and not lose your mind over, oh, where does the energy go? And how do I do this? And how do I make a guild? And how to,
Mhm.
but letting it flow and develop, from what you can get. And even I did a whole segment on how to plant your food forest without spending money. So on how to start trees from seed, cuttings, air layers, grafting, and a lot of that. So it's a it's basically this whole overview on how you can get a food forest into the ground. And then
Mhm.
I did another one on Florida gardening for if you wanted to turn your backyard into a food production machine. And that is another 6-part course that I put up there. But instead of charging for the courses, I just put it if anybody joins the group, the courses just come with it.
Mhm.
Nice.
So I figured if somebody wants to be in there and ask questions
Which
and
you can.
learn about gardening, then
Yeah.
you can start there and you get like I just kept putting these cool courses up there. So it's sort of like if I could tempt somebody in to come and join the group, if you sign up annually, it's like $230 for the year,
Right.
but then you get all of the courses and everything and all the gardening questions you want. So it's basically like one trip to Walmart,
Right.
um, and you're going to get enough information like the Florida gardening course is geared towards here's how you can grow 2,000 pounds of food in your yard in the first year. This
Mhm.
is exactly what you do. If you follow what I'm telling you to do in this video, you're going to have so much food you won't know what to do with it. You
Right.
don't have to grow 2,000 pounds, but it's going to give you the toolkit to do it. So it's pretty much I just poured my years of experience into it, and then we do challenges. So one of the main
That's
things
my
people like about
favorite.
it, we did the Grow 500 challenge in the spring, and now we're about to start a food forest challenge. I have to give the awards. We have some awards for the challenge. So we're going to do that next. That's going to be the next thing is putting the food forest challenge. Last year we had over 50 people take part in the food forest challenge, and it's basically here, take this small space, a space as small as like a 10 by 10,
Right.
and
Mhm.
we're going to build with perennials and maybe some dwarf trees, and you can go up to a bigger space too, but
Right.
here's your overview. And I planted right along with everybody. I picked a bare spot in the yard and then put it together.
How
So
fun.
those challenges is kind of just a kick, like let's beat the analysis paralysis. And there's a lot of very knowledgeable gardeners on there that are trading information too. So
Right.
well,
Yeah, that sounds fun. And having like everybody involved, like it's a whole little own community.
It
That makes
is.
it great.
There's a whole community there. You can post pictures and ask what's wrong with my whatever. And you can ask for tips on what do y'all suggest I put here. And there's a whole bunch of people there. It's fun.
it's been really good.
Hmm.
It's been a lot of fun, and it was getting to the point where trying to interact with everybody that was asking me questions on YouTube became impossible.
Right, right.
Too many, and I get too many emails. So I've just started asking people. I was like, look, if you really need my time, go join the school group because that's actually extremely cheap consulting. If I'm going to
Right.
go and consult
Right.
in somebody's yard, I'm going to charge a
Yeah.
good amount of money.
Yeah.
But if you come into the school group and you want to join the community, we've got so much interaction and everything. And then generally we can fix people's issues. And a lot of people really told me that that Grow 500 challenge got them to grow more food than they've ever grown before, even if they didn't hit 500 pounds of food in the
Hmm.
spring, which was the
Hmm.
goal. You've got until August 1st to grow 500 pounds of food. We had 3 people make it out of the people
Wow.
that started.
Oh
And
gosh, I never tallied mine up. I weighed everything along the way and wrote it down, but I never
oh, you got to
tallied mine
tally
up.
it. We got to find out
Tally
what
it
you got.
up.
I know, and I
What are
and
you
I and
doing?
I heard you even saying like if you're there, you better do it. And I got the email like deadlines tomorrow. And like I don't know. I just didn't do it.
Jump into the thread. It's not over yet. So
Okay. All right. I might be there because watermelons and pumpkins. So and
watermelons and pumpkins are the
potatoes.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
grow one giant pumpkin and you've made 500
That's
pounds.
there you go.
So that school group, I guess you can put a link to that below
Yeah,
too.
we'll put a link to your school group too. That's School SKOOL, which I had never heard of that platform until I saw you on it probably about a year ago I got on. But
Yeah, it was recommended to me as a really good alternative where you can it's basically like a closed social media type of a group, and it's worked really well. It's so easy to interact with.
it really
And then
is.
I have that classroom area with all the hours of videos. I think my American Farmstead convention, the talk is there.
It is.
So I I noticed when I posted some of those talks on YouTube, YouTube doesn't know what to do with an hour long
Right.
talk from an event. So I started putting all my event talks in there. We just archived them into it. So if you missed an event and you wanted to go watch it, you can watch it there.
There you go.
That's great. That's a bonus.
On my YouTube. YouTube wants you to say, farmers don't want you to see what? But you put a lecture on how to grow trees from seed in there, and it's just
Right.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you didn't play their
I
game.
don't know what the deal is, but
Yeah.
that's the way it works.
Mhm.
I didn't make the rules.
Well, any other questions? Anything else? People can find your books. I know they're mostly at Amazon.
Mhm.
Can
Yep,
they
if
get
you
them
look up
through
Very
your?
Good on Amazon, all my books are there.
Okay.
If you don't like Amazon,
Uh-huh.
you can usually go to your local bookstore and they can order the books for you because I do have worldwide distribution, but you're going to have to ask for them because not everybody's caught on to,
Right.
they need to carry David the Good books. Not
Right.
yet, but
There's
one
silly
more
stuff.
crisis and maybe they'll be there.
Right. One more crisis. Right.
One more crisis.
Yeah, it's funny how many people I heard find you in 2020. And I mean, well, and honest, like not just you, like several content creators in our niche who are like just exploded, And minimalist gardening, well, that was a year ago. There was one I bought during 2020, and I don't
Probably maybe Florida survival gardening.
probably.
With basically how to convert your backyard into a food production factory as fast as possible.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a good one. Grow or die.
Grow or Die did really well until the printer shut down. The
Oh,
printer shut down due to COVID restrictions or something. And so it was a bestseller on Amazon. It was moving like crazy. I told my mom, I was like, if this crisis continues, I'm going to be a millionaire. And then like the printer shut down for weeks and it
oh,
killed the momentum, just went
oh,
Oh,
there's
weird.
no
And
consistency then.
it still sells okay, but it
Yeah.
has always sold decently because it's useful. But during the crisis, suddenly everybody's like, oh, it's like, well, the time is not to learn during the crisis. Time to be
Right.
the time to be learning how to garden is right now.
Yeah.
So
Right.
if there is a crisis, you're like, whatever, I'm fine. I can
I
grow
got
more.
this.
I'll just
Right,
expand
right.
what I'm already doing. But everybody panicked, and I even gave away that book as a digital download for free for anybody who wanted it. I was like, hey, look I don't know how bad this thing's gonna get, but you can just download my book for free. Here's a link. And so I put it up for anybody who wanted to download it. And it's still sold as a paperback like
Mhm.
crazy. It didn't seem to hurt me, It's like just went right through the roof until the printer shut down, and that killed the supply line. The supply line broke, and so it's like, well, you should have bought Grow or Die last year, probably before.
Like everything else in 2020.
Yeah, exactly. Everything
The
broke.
system broke.
Yeah,
Oh gosh. Well, thanks for coming on with us and talking about all those cool things.
Yeah.
sure.
It's always fun to chat with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you all for having me. I appreciate it, and I look forward to the next convention. And I really look forward to seeing you all at Scrubfest. You're going to set up a booth there again?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, we'll be there.
we'll be there.
We'll be there. We'll probably be walking around the crowd, talking to folks again, because that was so much fun last time.
We did that in the spring for the first time, and it was fun. It was
Yeah.
so fun just to take those silly little mics around and
Right.
do like man on the street kind of style. It was
Yeah,
fun.
that was fun. You all did a great job. It was cool.
Thank you, thank
All
you.
right, so Donna, you got to figure out what song you're going to sing at Scrubfest.
Oh,
Maybe turn around every now and then. That would be good.
My son can sing it. He also cannot carry a tune in a bucket, but he loves to sing that in a
Perfect.
dramatic way for whatever reason. Our house is kind of chaos though. Like it's
that
a
song.
circus. Yeah, he has the right moments to sing it. It's silly. Yeah, that's my house.
Perfect. It's very familiar to me.
David, if you call me out to sing a song at Scrubfest, we are not friends anymore. Just
Oh,
gonna
really?
say, no. No, we also
Oh.
like my family happy birthday song is atrocious. Like it's atrocious.
Oh boy, when we sing it here, it's in harmony.
Oh,
Like my kids
Oh.
like
so
to
ours would
sing.
be the
So
opposite of that.
they all like hit they hit the different parts of it because it's just only one or two of my kids can't really carry a tune, but
Oh,
most of them can. I've
I'm
got
sure it's beautiful. Ours
two
is
of
what
them
you
that are
call a
singing
cacophony.
choir. So yeah. Oh, they try to outdo each other with how perfectly they can harmonize. It's
Oh, That is funny.
Yeah, but my wife's side of the family, it's like, happy birthday to you.
That's my house.
Happy birthday. It's like, oh guys, come on, where's the
Ours
fun?
happens like it sounds like it comes in rounds. And then like some people only say happy, happy.
Wow.
And then there's some soprano somewhere. It's really atrocious, but we love it. We have fun. So
As long as you have a birthday, it's all
that's
right.
the singing in our house. That's what it comes down to. All right. Well, we will see you then.
Yeah,
And
look forward to
yeah, until then, check out David at Survival Garden, thesurvivalgardener.com, right?
thesurvivalgardener.com.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks for listening, y'all.
All right. Thanks, David.
Thank you all. God bless.